The Cancer Solstice is upon us and is exact on June 21st at 4:25 a.m. Eastern Time, so be sure and adjust for your location. The sun moves to 0 degrees 0 minutes of Cancer, initiating a new season in the calendar year. The Cancer energy is cardinal water. It is a beginning point for the next 3 months, including all of Cancer season, Leo season, and Virgo season, as we then move towards the Libra Equinox in September. So the chart that we're looking at here is essentially giving us a heads up into the energetic themes of this season and the next 3 months. So we look at it from that perspective to decipher what is being initiated now in the collective as well as in your personal life. So the sun moving into Cancer is a switch from the mental energy of Gemini, which is very active, talkative, inquisitive, and curious, and returns us into the softer, receptive energies of Cancer, which is feminine, receiving, listening, understanding what's going on within you, hearing your own internal feelings, trusting what is true for you, and also dropping into the heart space to feel what you need to know, to feel into this moment and this chapter in your life, especially after the busy mental focus of Gemini season. So now the energy seeks greater comfort and calm and transitions us into what we need to feel safe, secure, and allowing. The Cancer energy relates directly to home, where you live, your comfortable spaces that are cozy. It relates to the people who are near you, including your family and close friends, roommates, anyone you reside with. Cancer returns us to our emotional foundation, your own internal home base, to understand what you need that maybe has been out of balance, what has not been replenished, and where there is now a need to comfort yourself, to nourish yourself, and tune into your own self-care. The Cancer energy also moves us into this next season with a greater focus on trusting what we feel in an environment, trusting what we're sensing and picking up on that's under the surface. The Cancer energy relates to where you came from, including your ancestors, your lineage, your family tree. And it relates to the energies you're carrying in your unconscious that perhaps are rising up now for you to hear and understand around your own history, your personal history, but also your soul history. And so as we get quiet and tune into these internal frequencies, there's more personal understandings that come up that we need time to process, move through, and filter out. And so the Cancer energy is actually seeking more privacy and alone time and able to, in honor of hearing what those messages may be for you. And so as the sun makes its ingress into Cancer, the sun is ruled by the moon in Cancer. And so we look at that ruling energy here, which is at 23 degrees of Virgo, signaling that it's time to organize and simplify our lives in ways that newly support what we need now. This is the energy of cleaning up, removing, reducing, getting rid of complications, looking at what needs to be organized in your lifestyle. What routines are healthy for you now? What needs more of your focused attention? And in the moon energy, it's always personal. It's where your health requires more awareness. Your body, your physical activity. Are you being disciplined in your daily habits? Are you noticing what is essential and what is not? And are you willing to make necessary changes that are healthier for you? Because there is support for doing so when we notice how this moon in Virgo is sextiling both Jupiter and Mercury in Cancer. You're going to feel it very clearly what needs to change. And this moon in Virgo will put together the process or the plan that grounds in the emotional drive of this Mercury conjunct Jupiter in the late degrees of Cancer. So you're going to feel it first, and these are going to be loud, powerful messages. That is how Jupiter conjunct Mercury works. It's like you feel it, but you don't fully understand it, at least not in the typical linear fashions that Mercury is used to. Mercury is also in his retrograde territory here, as Mercury will station retrograde at 26 degrees of Cancer the end of June, June 29th or 30th, the same day that this Jupiter moves into Leo. And so there's powerful emotional messages that you're sensing and feeling. And you might be wondering, what do I do with it? Well, the moon in Virgo is what you do with it. You determine what is useful, what is effective, what do you need, and what do you not need. The Virgo energies are supporting you in establishing the boundaries that are healthy and the practices that are effective. And it's interesting because this moon is also receiving a supportive trine from Mars at 24 degrees of Taurus, which has been determined and sticking with something to make progress and move it forward. Even if it's slow and steady, we know that slow and steady wins the race. And so this Mars is also in the conversation with Mercury and Jupiter, and they're in a beautiful minor grand trine here in the earth and water elements, signaling that there are things you're ready to change in your physical reality as a result of what you're feeling and the emotions you're holding around what has been holding you back, which can be the Cancer energies of, again, where you have come from, the past, previous memories, previous versions of life. This is a season where you're noticing, where you're ready to move forward into perhaps a more simple, grounded existence that you can manage, that you're in charge of. And keep in mind, these are all personal planets here, right? The moon, Mercury, and Mars are personal planets. Jupiter brings in the higher spiritual protection and guidance to not be stuck in the past, to not hold yourself back, and to trust that this new information, this new understandings you're feeling and sensing are right on time and needed to break you out of what you've been, I'm hearing, containing. Because this Cancer energy can be a very big container of energy and emotions. And Jupiter is saying, pour it out. Pour it out, set yourself free to move forward. And this relates as well to your daily life, where you might be ready to clear the calendar, close out some commitments, make some changes, where you're seeing what is working and what's paying off, where the ROI is and where it's not. What is in alignment and what is not is going to be more evident over the next 3 months, but especially throughout Cancer season here. And remember, I'm referencing this 3 months because this is the new season beginning that this chart represents until we get to the Libra Equinox in September. So this is showing you the bigger themes of the next 3 months, which says there's going to be a lot that's leaving your life because you're choosing to move ahead. You're sensing and feeling what is complete. And the earth signs here are stabilizing the process so that you make that steady progress forward and feel it very clearly. Because I'm getting that this energy feels very clear and pure. And there could be an understanding that it's right on time for you. So if you were waiting for something, you were waiting to make changes, or the first half of this year, as we know, has been nonstop. I mean, we are in the year of the fire horse, where it can feel like every day, you're having to gallop and move quickly and move fast to keep up with the new pace of life. This is a slowdown, but it's almost like getting the visual of like when you're watching a movie and something is put into slow motion so that you can see it more clearly. You can see more clearly what needs to be minimized, wrapped up, and taken care of. And this is part of what is ushering us into the second half of the year. Now, these messages are stronger when you stop and listen and you're in a receptive state. And even perhaps when you're alone, without any interference in your aura, in your thoughts, in your emotions or energy, you're going to feel something. I'm seeing it as like a purification of water where it runs clear and you just feel, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to take care of and invest in, because this is where I'm going next. So there's always turning points with a solstice, but this is a more personal turning point, okay? And it's a big understanding of the cycle you've been in and the new cycle you're entering. Like, it just feels like a very powerful portal. And it's personal. It's personal in Cancer. So this is quite lovely to see how the moon, Jupiter, Mercury, and Mars are all matching up here and supporting the transitions that are ultimately going to feel really good. And that's part of what this Jupiter in Cancer has been directing you to, is the feel-good developments that support your emotional well-being. I'm getting the visual of even like wringing out a towel that has accumulated too much water. And that's part of the energy that can feel has accumulated when planets get to the late degrees of a water sign, is that they realize, again, the container and what they're holding. And this is a wring it out, dry it out, especially because of how Jupiter then is going to enter Leo, a fire sign that is going to seek the warmth and fresh light of the sun. And so I'm feeling, again, like part of what we're moving into in 2026 are these new chapters in our emotional frequencies. And so you might feel that there's even more that you've been holding that gets released and removed. It's being wrung out. It's being cleared out for you. And maybe it's something that's traveled with you across lifetimes, especially through your family lineage. And that is part of what you're releasing. So there's going to be support for these changes. Very solid support as well. Now, another big energy here in the chart is that as the sun moves into Cancer on June 21st, it makes an immediate sextile with Chiron, which has also just changed signs on June 19th and is at 0 degrees of Taurus, where Chiron is going to stay at 0 degrees of Taurus until September. Chiron is direct until August 2nd, then stations retrograde still at 0 degrees. And so this signifies an important new beginning point in the Chiron healing journey, but it comes to a standstill. There's a standstill here where you're meant to stop and assess your life, your values, how you're living, what's important to you. The next 3 months, it's interesting how this coincides, this Chiron in Taurus coincides almost exactly with this ingress into Cancer season and the next 3 months, because Chiron is here until September 17th, just a few days before that Libra Equinox. So Chiron is a very important energy over the next 3 months, not only because of this Cancer ingress chart, but because transiting Chiron is saying you are going to realize some things about yourself and your life that are ready to be upgraded, but healing is required for you to hold these new frequencies that pertain to self-worth, self-value, and self-confidence. And Chiron working with the sun in Cancer here is a loving, supportive energy. I'm getting that you might be surprised at what you're newly feeling for the first time in your life, that reveals an uncomfortable truth of something you haven't had. Because when Chiron moves into a new sign, it reveals what's been lacking. And so this can feel like a realization of an emotional lack that brings about a turning point. Because the sextile between the sun and Chiron is positive. And so what you realize that you haven't had, you haven't experienced, you haven't created, you haven't owned, not just a physical ownership, not materialism necessarily, but more energetically. This is going to give you a true feeling to trust around what you want to declare and create next in your life, that's going to bring up uncertainty because it's new, because you haven't experienced it before, or you haven't experienced it for 50 years. I mean, the last time Chiron was in Taurus was late 1976 to 1984. And so depending on your age, you may or may not have been on the planet, but it's going to bring up anything from that previous cycle. But we are different, you are different, your consciousness, self-awareness, and emotional understandings of yourself are different. And I'm feeling this as a supportive self-awareness of saying, I want a new version of my life now. I want to experience something different. And it's interesting because Chiron in Taurus is a very earth-based energy. And so it might take looking around your reality that you see what you want to do differently, you want to move forward with. And that's part of the help from the sun in Cancer, because that Taurus energy can be stuck. And the sun is saying, I'm going to help you get there. Let's go into how you feel about it. Let's really amplify what it would feel like to have this new creation or this new reality in your life. What would that feel like? And this is the energy of security, stability, comfort, reliability, dedication. This is a season of manifesting something new for yourself that you haven't experienced before, or you're ready to experience it in a new way, but it's driven by your emotional body, your emotional intelligence, and being very honest with yourself around how it would feel, which is one of the main key principles of manifesting, where you need to move the emotional body into already being in that experience? What does it mean to feel so alive in what you're creating, in what you're building? How would that feel for you to be living a daily existence where you feel supported, cared for, nurtured, strong? How would it feel for you to tap into maybe parts of yourself that were shut down earlier in your life? They're coming back around, but they're more alive, they're blooming. Cancer energy is ready to bloom and blossom. And this is the earth, is ready to support those feelings and like that uprising in the emotional body of what's coming to life within you. And so there's going to be some positive insights that could be quite humbling. Humility may be needed. Being humble with yourself may be required, because these are the softer feminine energies here where you receive an insight into what you need to change in order to build or create something new in your life. And this is also part of the energy here of understanding what has already played out for you, come to fruition, has already been experienced, and you're seeing, okay, it's time to turn a corner here and turn a page in my reality to make room and space for this next part of my life that I want. I want to manifest it. I want to feel this. I want to be in these energies. And so any of that humility or being humble is not meant to be punishing, is not meant to be self-deprecating or to be hard on yourself. Rather, it's just simply noting, okay, that was a previous chapter in my life. That was a previous season, a previous cycle. And here we are in these big cycles of change where we are evolving, and what you want to manifest is changing. And that is what's leading you forward. And let's look at how this energy of the sun at 0 degrees of Cancer and Chiron at 0 degrees of Taurus are both working favorably with that north node in Pisces at 3 degrees, moving retrograde, where your intuition has known this. You've already been feeling it. You've already been sensing it and moving towards an area of your life that north node in Pisces has been guiding you towards. And now part of the turning point here is here comes the sun to do the trine that supercharges it with fresh life force, new consciousness, new emotional excitement even. And then this Chiron in Taurus, also sextiling that north node, is saying, it's okay to do something new. I haven't been here before. This is a new version of myself that I'm going to love more. And that's going to be a big part of the Chiron in Taurus teachings and healing, is looking at what you thought self-love was. We could look at it through a consumerism or materialistic standpoint, which could be Taurus, where I thought I was a good person, or I was successful because I drove this car, or I owned this house, or I had these things, or I was really successful and made a lot of money, and all that defined my standing in the world. And there could be the other side of that, right? Where it's like, okay, I haven't had those things, or I haven't experienced that, or I haven't obtained certain levels of success or certain results yet. Therefore, my self-worth has been depleted, or I put too much importance on what is outside of me, and I thought that defined me. This is a big rewriting of what you're here to create an experience that your soul has been whispering to you about, and that there is going to be, over the next 3 months, some very important realizations that could be coming from past lives of sacrifice. Where if you were afraid to be empowered in your gifts, if you were afraid to have too much, and you always had to give it away or donate it to the church or give it to another spiritual leader, or basically it's that Pisces energy well, I always have to do more for others. I don't believe I can hold it or obtain it. But if I'm in service to others, if I sacrifice it to others, then I'm a good person. Those are all outdated beliefs that are fading away. And part of this deep soul healing at the solstice is reconnecting you with your inherent abundance and feeling good about who you are, what you can create and experience. As you allow those old messages, belief systems, and soul imprints to be cleared. And clearing is a big theme with the planets at 0 degrees. 0 degrees and moving to 0 degrees. The North Node remains in Pisces until the end of July. And so we're clearing out those old, lower vibrational Piscean influences and reestablishing that 0 degree point energy of a fresh beginning. And the sun in Cancer is squaring this Neptune at 4 degrees of Aries. The square is going to be exact 4 days after the solstice. And it's going to bring up the self-doubt and personal questioning of who you are and who you're becoming, the new beginnings that have been taking place throughout this year. And there's going to perhaps be an insecurity with the sun in Cancer squaring Neptune. And there's going to be a sense of, can I do this? Self-questioning. And so that would be something to consciously work through, because it's also a normal part of the ego questioning change and new directions. And so it's almost like this is a year to keep asserting the new starts you want without giving in to anything from the past, any previous thoughts or perceptions that are actually being elevated, if you so choose, and to keep choosing the new you. Keep choosing who you're growing into, what you're healing. Keep choosing yourself with beautiful self-love and an openness to your own growth and expansion. The emotional body is going to be going through some significant changes over the next 3 months. They can be quite eye-opening, quite joyful, happy, delightful, and positive. There can be a new faith and a new hope that shows up over this next 3 months as well. I'm going to have a separate video for you discussing more about the energies we're moving into in July. In that video, we'll look at the minor grand trine here. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. I've already been discussing that. In fact, here on my YouTube channel, you'll find a playlist going into those energies. But know that this is an emotional season of change that can uplift you, move you forward, offer you new insights into what you value at this stage in your life. And overall, there's going to be the support, resources, and next steps presented to move you into your new season. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your time and energy. And I so appreciate your comments, your subscribes, and sharing with others who may benefit from this video. I will be back with another chart video for you soon, especially discussing the upcoming Capricorn full moon, as well as the energies of July. So take good care, and wishing you a beautiful Cancer solstice here. I'll see you back here soon.